Imagine sitting at your graduation dinner, surrounded by your whole family, smiling, laughing, thinking it's going to be one of the happiest nights of your life. And then suddenly, your rich grandpa looks at you and asks a question that freezes the entire room. Do you like the apartment I bought you? You blink, confused, and realize you have no idea what he's talking about. One innocent question turns your perfect evening into a family disaster. This is what happened to me, and how one secret nearly destroyed my family. It all started on my graduation night. My parents had organized a small dinner at one of the best restaurants in town. The lights were warm, music was soft, and everything felt perfect. My mom kept taking pictures. My dad was beaming with pride, and my grandpa, sitting at the end of the table, looked proud but calm as always. He was the kind of man who didn't say much, but when he spoke, everyone listened. He had built his empire from nothing, and in our family, his word meant everything. We were all laughing, talking about my future plans, when the waiter came by to pour champagne. Grandpa raised his glass, looked right at me, and said, "To Emily, for making us proud." I smiled and said thank you. But before I could take a sip, he added, "So, Emily, do you like the apartment I bought you?" The entire table went silent. The sound of music faded. Even the waiter froze. I stared at him, unsure if I had heard him right. "What apartment?" I asked. Grandpa's smile faded. "The one near Riverside. The one I gave your parents money for 3 months ago." My mom's face went pale. My dad looked down at his plate. The silence was deafening. I could feel my heart start to race. I looked at them, waiting for someone to explain. My dad finally cleared his throat and said, "Dad, it's complicated. We were just finalizing some paperwork." Grandpa leaned forward, his tone sharpening. "Paperwork? What paperwork?" I wired the full amount. "Don't tell me there's no deed yet." Mom tried to interrupt, whispering, "Dad, please, not here." But Grandpa wasn't the kind of man who waited. His hand slammed against the table, making the plates rattle. "Bring me the papers. Right now." Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at us. I felt embarrassed, angry, and completely lost. What papers was he talking about? Why didn't I know about any apartment? The ride home was painfully silent. My parents sat in the front, Grandpa next to me in the back, his jaw tight with anger. I stared out the window, my mind racing. I remembered hearing my parents say things like money's tight lately and we'll figure it out soon. But I never thought much of it. Now, pieces started to fit together. Had they used Grandpa's money for something else? When we reached home, Grandpa went straight to the study. "Bring me the documents," he demanded. My dad hesitated, then disappeared into his office. A few minutes later, he came back with a folder. Grandpa opened it slowly, scanning the papers. His eyes darkened. He looked up, his voice trembling with fury. "This isn't an apartment deed. This is a down payment for a car." Mom started crying. "Dad, please, you don't understand." The business was collapsing. We thought we could fix things, buy the apartment later, before she found out. We were going to make it right. Grandpa looked at them in disbelief. "You stole from your own daughter to cover your mistakes." His voice cracked with disappointment more than anger. My dad tried to speak, but Grandpa raised his hand. "Don't. Just don't." I stood there, silent, tears filling my eyes. I couldn't believe it. The people who always taught me about honesty, about doing the right thing, had lied to me, to Grandpa, to everyone. Grandpa turned to me, his expression softening. "Emily, don't worry. You'll get what's yours." Then he looked back at my dad and said coldly, "You have 1 week to return every penny. If not, I'll take back everything I've ever given you." For the next few days, the house was filled with silence. No laughter, no conversation, just tension. My parents argued behind closed doors. Mom cried every night, and I avoided everyone. I didn't know how to feel angry, hurt, or sad. I loved them, but I couldn't forgive what they had done. A week later, Grandpa called me early in the morning. "Come to my office," he said. When I arrived, he was sitting behind his desk, a calm but serious look on his face. He handed me a small envelope and a set of keys. "What's this?" I asked. He smiled slightly. Your apartment, in your name, this time. I opened the envelope. Inside was the deed. Clean, official, legal. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Grandpa, you didn't have to do this. He shook his head. I did. Because integrity matters more than anything. And now, you know who you can trust. I hugged him tightly. In that moment, I realized it wasn't about the apartment. It was about honesty. About the kind of person I wanted to be. My parents apologized, of course. They were ashamed, broken by guilt. Grandpa forgave them eventually, but things were never quite the same. When I moved into my apartment a month later, I stood in the empty living room, sunlight pouring through the windows, and I thought about everything that had happened. One question had exposed a lie, destroyed trust, and rebuilt it stronger than before. My parents and I began to heal slowly. It wasn't easy, but I knew one thing: I would never repeat their mistake. Now, every time I unlock the door to my apartment, I remember that night at my graduation dinner. The silence, the shock, and the lesson. The lesson that no matter how hard things get, lying only makes everything worse. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy peace. It can build houses, but not homes. And sometimes, the truth, no matter how painful, is the only gift worth giving.